Hello, students. Today we are going to continue the chapter Period of Transition. Hope the previous class was clear to you all. Today we are going to see the topic Industrial Revolution. This topic is very important because world history starts from Industrial Revolution. First of all, the question comes in our mind is what is Industrial Revolution? The term Industrial Revolution denotes all those changes that took place in the field of industry during the second half of the 18th century and the first half of 19th century. So students, you may be thinking why it is called revolution? Just like the French and American Revolution, we brought about the vast changes in the polity and governing structure of the country. Industrial Revolution also brought great changes in the structure of how things are made, how manufacture is done, how technology is used. So students, can you think where industrial revolution might have taken place? It began in England and later spread to France, Germany, Netherlands, Austro-Hungary, and later it spread to Russia, Japan, etc. During the period of the Industrial Revolution, the employer made his workers to use machines in his factory. The employees were paid wages for their labor. The period marked a change from hard work to machine work and from domestic system to factory system of production. Industrial Revolution began in England in about 1750 AD. So students, in our previous class I told you that Constantinople was captured by Ottoman Turks in 1453. So, during the 1600s, overseas exploration of new sea routes had opened new markets for England. New financial institutions such as banks offered business loans that helped small industrial growth. England had rich natural resources in the form of coal and iron ores. So, what is the need of coal in industries? Coal was a valuable source of energy for machines to run, and iron was used to make machines and products such as tools and cookware. Scientific improvements in farming became the base of industrial revolution. In the late 19th century, trade flourished, markets expanded and increased prosperity, but there was dark side also. For example, laborers who worked in these industries, they lost their freedom, like they were made to work overtime in order to make profit. Proper facilities were not given, and even when you see the colonized countries, they also lost their freedom, livelihoods, etc. Because the Britishers were forcing them to grow raw materials for their textile industries like cotton, indigo, etc. So, late 19th century European conquests produced many painful economic, social, and ecological changes through which the colonized societies were brought into the world economy. Now, we'll see the impact of Industrial Revolution. Urbanization. So here you can see growth of new cities and industrial towns. So as trade and commerce was expanded, old cities and new towns were created near the factories. Such cities had concentration of factories, marketing and financial institutions. Second, you can see growth of trade and commerce. So when trade and commerce developed, road transport system was also developed. So with the use of faster, safer and cheaper transport, national markets were grew up in the society. Next, general prosperity due to mass production. So here due to large scale production of quality items at cheaper rates, most of the goods came within the reach of the people. Next point you can see slums, overcrowding and poor housing conditions. So here usually the factories they were situated near the coal fields or near the seaports. So here the workers they started to live near the industrial areas and they lived like overcrowded. So they did not had proper sanitation and drainage. Next we'll see exploitation of workers. So here as I told you earlier, the workers had to work hard for long hours under harsh climate and their wages were very less. Even women and children were engaged in the factories at lowest wages. Next, we'll see imperialism. Industrial revolution gave rise to capitalism. It was eventually realized that wealth could be used for generating more wealth, which came to be called capital. The owners of the capital became the capitalists. The economic system which generates and gives power to capitalists came to be known as capitalism. Big industries produce goods at a large in number and at cheaper rates. Workers were converted into wage earners, whereas the factory owners made huge profits and amassed wealth. So, impact of industrial revolution and capitalism gave rise to imperialism. As demand for raw materials increased, they went in search of new colonies. This resulted in the growth of competitive imperialism. Now, what do you mean by imperialism? Imperialism means a system in which rich and powerful countries controlled and even occupied other nations to exploit their resources for their own economic and industrial benefits. The capitalist countries also were in search of markets for the sale of their products. So they started to capture the countries itself. So for 1870 to 1914 AD, almost all the countries of Africa and Asia had come under the control of one or the other imperial power. Next you can see imperialism in South Asian countries. So from 1500 to 1700, European merchants controlled Southeast Asia, that is, sea lanes between India and China. But most of the area remained independent. In 1800, this was changed. Westerners like Dutch, British, French manipulated local rivalries and used modern weapons to colonize much of the Southeast Asia. So here economics grew based on cash crops and goods that could be sold in the world markets. But you can see some improvements like roads, harbors, railway systems were improved, but mostly it benefited the European business. But whatever it is, health, education, sanitation was also improved. Unlike other colonial areas, millions of people from other areas of Asia and the world migrated to work on plantations and in the mines in Southeast Asia. So I hope this topic was clear to you. Thank you, children.